All right, I want to take a minute or two to talk about date grouping specifically, because it looks a little bit different from the exercise that we just walked through. And the reason for that is that in recent years, I believe 2016 or 2013, Excel started to integrate some capabilities to automatically detect date fields and create groupings and hierarchies behind the scenes without any input from the user, which can certainly be helpful, but it's also a little bit confusing if you don't know what's going on. So let me show you an example. We're going to start by just clearing this title label filter that we put in place. And I'm going to drag title out of the pivot table. And what we're going to do here is pull in the release date field. But before we do, I want to dive into that movie database raw data tab and just get a sense of exactly what that column's formatted like. So release date here in column B, I've got data at the daily level, so April 15th, 1935, January 30th, 1969, and so on. So again, daily level release date data here in column B. Back in our pivot, when I grab release date, pull it into my row labels, something kind of weird happens here, which is now all of a sudden I'm looking at data by year. There's a new column created for quarters, and if I scroll down and drill into these values, I'm seeing data organized down to the month level, but I don't even see the actual release date itself anymore. And what's going on here is that Excel automatically recognized that I'm looking at dates, and it said, hey Chris, maybe you're going to want to roll up the data by month or by quarter or by year, and that's why it created these new columns for me. Now, I don't like that it does this by default, but once you get over that initial learning curve and see what's going on, it can actually be pretty helpful. So to help diagnose exactly what Excel's doing here, I can go into my pivot table tool Analyze tab and take a look at some of these group options. And the first thing I'll do with any of these date fields selected, it could be the month, the quarter, the year, I'm going to go into this group field button here, and this tells me exactly what Excel just did. So it created additional groupings at the month, quarter, and year level. And as you can see, day isn't even selected, so I've lost the ability to look at release dates at the daily level. And if that's something that I want to do, all I need to do is click days again and press OK, and that adds a fourth layer or fourth column all the way down to the actual date level. So now I've got years, quarters, months, and release dates. Now you might be saying, all right, I've got raw data at the daily level for a reason, and that's because I want to look at the data by day. I don't care about years, quarters, or months. And that's totally fine. There are two approaches that you can take to get things back to the daily level that you're comfortable with. The first, which I'd recommend, is actually holding on to these new columns that Excel created for you, even if you don't choose to use them right now. So if I don't care about years, quarters, or months, what I can do is take that field and just drag it out, either into the field list or into my filters. I can do the same with quarters and the same with months. So now I'm left with my release date, just like it exists in the raw data tab, but now I also have the ability to manipulate these filters. So if I only want to look at data for a given year or quarter or month, I now have the ability to do that without manually calculating or grouping any fields myself. Now the other approach is to simply select one of the date fields that had been automatically grouped and either go into my group pane in the Analyze options or right-click the field itself and just select Ungroup. And when you do that, you can see that those year, quarter, and month fields disappeared, and my data reverts back to the original format in the raw data sheet, which is daily level data. So let's go ahead and undo, because I do want those year, month, and quarter fields accessible, and that will give me the flexibility to use them if I choose, or continue to look at the data at the daily level. So there you go, quick primer on how Excel deals with auto-grouping dates.